Coordinator Vrell of the Galactic Assessment Bureau had processed exactly 3,216 species evaluations in her 40-year career. Not once, not ever, had she filed an emergency escalation report. Until today. "I need you to understand something," she said, her four eye stalks converging on her supervisor with an intensity that made him lean back. "When I say we have miscategorized an entire civilization, I am not being dramatic. I am being catastrophically accurate." Supervisor Morn clicked his mandibles nervously. Vrell, the humans passed every cognitive assessment. They demonstrated tool use, abstract reasoning, and complex social structures. They scored a perfectly average 6.2 on the sentience scale. They are, by every measure, unremarkable. Yes. The adults are unremarkable. Vrell pulled up a holographic display, her tendrils shaking slightly. The adults are perfectly normal. Boring, even. But Morn, we never assessed their juveniles. Why would we? Juvenile assessment is only required for species with metamorphic life stages or hive specialization. Humans have standard bilateral development. I thought so too. Vrell's voice dropped to something approaching horror. Then I received the field report from Agent Kixel. He was stationed on Earth for cultural observation. Routine work. He was supposed to monitor a human educational facility. Morn waited. Vrell seemed to be gathering courage. He lasted 4 hours before requesting emergency extraction. She pulled up a video feed. This is what he encountered. The hologram showed a brightly colored room filled with small humans. Approximately 20 of them, each roughly 1 meter tall. They were, according to the file, 3 years old. A single adult human stood among them, looking remarkably calm for someone surrounded by what Vrell now understood to be agents of pure entropy. "Okay, pay attention to the small one in the red covering," Vrell said, gesturing with a tendril. "The humans call this one Marcus." Marcus was staring at a tower of colorful blocks. For a moment, he appeared calm. Curious. Then, without warning or provocation, he released a sound that Vrell's translator initially categorized as a territorial war cry. He charged the block tower with the single-minded determination of a Krellian battlecruiser. "That's just play behavior," Morn said, though he sounded uncertain. "Wait for it." The tower fell. Marcus stood among the ruins, victorious. Then his face crumpled, and he began producing the sound humans called crying. The adult human approached, speaking in soothing tones. "But he destroyed it himself," Morn said, confused. "Exactly." Agent Kixel noted the same thing. He hypothesized these creatures operate on a logic system we have yet to decipher. The video continued. A small human female, identified as Emma, was attempting to put on footwear. Standard procedure for the species. Except the footwear was on the wrong appendage, and when the adult human tried to help, Emma screamed, "I'd do it myself," with enough force to crack 3 of Agent Kixel's vocal translation sensors. "Note the volume," Vrell said. "These creatures, despite having lungs 1/20th the size of an adult, can produce sound waves at approximately 110 decibels. That's louder than a Class 3 warning siren." Morn's mandibles had stopped clicking. He was watching with the horrified fascination of someone witnessing a supernova. The video showed Agent Kixel attempting to interact with a small human named Oliver. The agent, following protocol, offered a nutritional supplement bar, attempting to establish friendly contact. Oliver looked at the bar, looked at Kixel, and said, "No." Simple enough. Except Oliver was holding a different nutritional bar. The exact same type. Same flavor, same packaging. When Kixel pointed this out, Oliver's response was to throw both bars on the floor and request a third, which he then also rejected. The agent concluded they were testing him, Vrell said. Some kind of psychological warfare. That seems extreme. Does it? Watch this next part. A small human named Lily approached Agent Kixel. She stared at him for approximately 45 seconds, unblinking. Then she asked, "Why?" "Why what?" Kixel had responded, his translator working overtime. "Why? I do not understand the question." "But why?" This continued for 6 minutes. The adult human supervisor explained that Lily was in a why phase, which apparently all human juveniles experienced. It was, according to the adult, normal. Kixel's report noted that by minute 4, he had begun questioning his own existence. "The psychological attacks are relentless," Vrell continued. "But it gets worse. Much worse." The video jumped to what humans called snack time. The adult human distributed small portions of food. Everything seemed peaceful. Then a small human named Jackson touched another child's food item. Not even took it. Just touched it. What followed could only be described as a diplomatic incident. He touched my cracker. I didn't. You did. It was an accident. Within seconds, 5 other juveniles had joined the conflict, taking sides, forming alliances, betraying those alliances, and creating new ones. The adult human's attempts at mediation were ignored entirely. Agent Kixel's notes indicated he witnessed the formation and collapse of 3 distinct political factions over a snack item worth approximately 0.001 credits. These creatures form complex social hierarchies over nothing, Vrell said. Absolutely nothing. Morn was leaning forward now, fully engaged despite his growing concern. What happened next? Nap time. That sounds peaceful. That is what I thought. That is what Agent Kixel thought. That is what every logical being would think. Vrell's eye stalks drooped with exhaustion just remembering it. We were all wrong. The video showed small sleeping mats arranged in rows. The adult human dimmed the lights, played soft music, and asked the juveniles to lie down and rest. A perfectly reasonable request after their morning of destruction and chaos. Not a single juvenile complied. "I'm not tired," announced Marcus, despite the fact that he had been rubbing his eyes for the past 10 minutes. "I need water," said Emma. "I need to go potty," said Oliver. "I already went potty," said Lily, which prompted a whole new crisis. Agent Kixel's report became less coherent at this point. His notes mentioned something about the endless negotiations, the tyranny of small despots, and why do they fight sleep when they so clearly need it. The adult human, identified as Ms. Patterson, somehow managed to get most of the juveniles onto their mats. Vrell noted that Ms. Patterson's expression suggested either deep meditation or complete dissociation from reality. Possibly both. Here is where Agent Kixel made his critical error, Vrell said. He thought the hard part was over. One juvenile, a small male named Tyler, sat up. He looked directly at Agent Kixel's hidden observation point, though he could not possibly have seen it through the wall. Then Tyler smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Tyler stood up. The adult human, eyes closed in what might have been prayer, whispered, "Tyler, please lie down." "I need to tell you something," Tyler said. "You can tell me after nap time. It's important." Tyler. "Really, really important." Miss Patterson opened one eye. "What is it?" "I forgot." This happened 6 more times. By the 7th time, Miss Patterson's response was simply, "Tyler, I am begging you." Agent Kixel's final notes before requesting extraction were brief. "These creatures have broken me. They have broken reality. I watched a fully grown human adult, educated and trained in juvenile management, reduced to begging a 3-foot-tall human for mercy. And the small human just smiled and asked for more water. I do not understand. I will never understand. Please send someone else. Or better yet, quarantine the entire planet." Vrell closed the hologram. Silence filled the office. "That was 4 hours of observation," she said quietly. 4 hours, Morn. The adult human does this for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Some human adults manage facilities with 20 to 30 of these juveniles. By themselves. That's impossible. And yet they do it. Every day. They survive it. Some even claim to enjoy it. Vrell pulled up another file. "I started researching after receiving Kixel's report. These juvenile humans, these toddlers as they call them, have a fatality rate that should be 90% based on their behavior patterns. But humans have somehow reduced it to nearly 0 through constant vigilance. How? I have absolutely no idea." Morn sat in stunned silence for approximately 30 seconds before his survival instincts kicked in. "We need to update their threat assessment immediately. If these juveniles are this dangerous, and the adults can control them, then humans are far more formidable than we calculated." "Oh, it gets so much better." Vrell pulled up a new file, this one marked with 17 different warning labels. "I sent Agent Kixel's replacement, Agent Thora. She is, or rather was, our best field operative. Survived the plague wars of Sector 9. Negotiated peace with the Hive Collective. Has nerves of reinforced titanium. Was. She is currently on medical leave. Indefinite medical leave." Vrell activated another video feed. This is from her 2nd day observing human toddlers. She decided to take a more hands-on approach. The video showed a slightly different facility, this one with outdoor space. Approximately 15 human toddlers were engaged in something called playground time. Agent Thora, disguised as a human adult, stood near Ms. Patterson, attempting to understand the dynamics. "Okay, I can handle this," Thora's voice came through clearly on the recording. "They are just small. How difficult can small be?" Famous last words in 17 languages. A toddler named Sophie approached the climbing structure with obvious intent. Miss Patterson immediately moved closer, hands ready. Sophie climbed up 3 levels, looked down, and then attempted to jump off from a height that would definitely result in injury. No. Miss Patterson shouted, catching Sophie mid-flight. I can fly. Sophie insisted. You cannot fly, sweetheart. Humans do not fly. But I want to. Wanting to do something does not change the laws of physics, Thora muttered, making notes. Then she paused. Wait, does the small human not understand gravity? They understand it, Miss Patterson said, somehow hearing Thora despite the playground noise. They just think it does not apply to them. Thora's confusion was evident. But that is not logical. Welcome to Toddlers. A small human named Ben ran past at maximum speed, which was surprisingly fast for such short legs. He was heading directly toward another child on a swing. Collision seemed inevitable. Miss Patterson moved with reflexes that would impress a Corthan warrior, scooping Ben up seconds before impact. We use walking feet near the swings, Miss Patterson said calmly, as if she had not just prevented a casualty incident. But I was running feet. Ben protested, as if this was a completely different category of appendage. Thora's notes at this point read, they have named their feet based on speed. I do not know what this means. I do not think they know what this means. Then came the incident that the report later referred to simply as the Sandbox Negotiations. 4 toddlers wanted the same plastic shovel. There were 7 other identical shovels within reach. But they all wanted that specific shovel. The one that little Maya was holding. Mine. Maya screamed, clutching the shovel. I had it first, claimed Daniel, despite video evidence proving otherwise. My turn, insisted Zoe. I need it for my castle, added Ben, who had no castle. What followed was a masterclass in conflict resolution that would baffle the Galactic Peace Corps. Miss Patterson negotiated, mediated, and somehow convinced all 4 toddlers that they could take turns with the shovel. She established a timer system. She got verbal agreements from all parties. The peace lasted 45 seconds. She had it longer than me. Daniel accused. Did not. Did too. You are counting wrong. And they were back to chaos. Miss Patterson's expression suggested she was reconsidering every life choice that had led to this moment. Why do they fight over items they do not actually want? Thora asked, genuinely baffled. It is not about the shovel, Miss Patterson explained, her voice carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. It is never about the shovel. Then what is it about? If I knew that, I would be a billionaire. Thora's report noted, the adult humans do not understand their own juveniles either. This is somehow more terrifying. The video continued to what humans called lunchtime. Thora assumed this would be straightforward. Nutrients go in, juveniles consume nutrients, everyone survives. Simple biology. She had vastly underestimated the situation. A small human named Mia stared at her food with the suspicion of a customs inspector. What is this? It is the same thing you ate yesterday, Miss Patterson said. The same thing you said was your favorite. I do not like it. You asked for it specifically this morning. It looks weird. It looks identical to yesterday. No, it is different. Miss Patterson's eye twitched slightly. Thora recognized that twitch. It was the same expression she had seen on soldiers experiencing prolonged combat stress. Meanwhile, a toddler named Alex had discovered that if he blew air through his lips while holding liquid in his mouth, it created bubbles. And spray. Mostly spray. He found this absolutely hilarious. The other toddlers, recognizing innovation when they saw it, immediately began copying him. Within seconds, Ms. Patterson was managing a biochemical hazard situation. We do not spit our food, she announced, somehow maintaining composure while covered in partially digested nutrients. But it is funny. Alex explained, as if this justified everything. Many things are funny that we do not do at lunchtime. Like what? And somehow, someway, Miss Patterson had to explain to a 3-year-old human why humor did not override social contracts, hygiene standards, or basic decency. Thora watched this conversation with the fascination of someone witnessing a complex mathematical proof. The small human seemed to accept the logic. For approximately 90 seconds. Then he discovered he could make armpit noises, and the cycle began again. They are chaos incarnate, Thora whispered into her recorder. Pure, concentrated entropy in biological form. But the true breaking point came during what Miss Patterson called bathroom time. Thora had read the reports. She understood that human juveniles required assistance with waste elimination. Simple enough. Medical. Clinical. Straightforward, nothing about toddlers was straightforward. A small human named Emma announced she needed the bathroom. Miss Patterson began the escort process. Emma walked approximately 4 steps before stopping. I do not need to go anymore. Are you sure? Yes. They returned to activities. 30 seconds later, Emma announced, I need to go potty now. They rushed to the bathroom. Emma sat down, swung her legs, hummed a song, and announced, I am done. Did you actually go? No, but I am done sitting. This pattern repeated 7 times. By the 7th time, Thora's notes simply read, why? Why do they do this? What purpose does this serve? Is this warfare? Is this psychological conditioning? Am I the test subject? Then came the nap time incident that ended Thora's career. Ms. Patterson had successfully gotten all 15 toddlers onto their mats. Lights dimmed. Soft music playing. Several were actually closing their eyes. Victory seemed possible. A small human named Lucas sat straight up and announced, there is a monster under my mat. There is no monster, Miss Patterson said with practiced patience. There is. I can hear it. What does it sound like? Like breathing. That is you breathing, Lucas. This seemed to confuse Lucas significantly. He lay back down, clearly pondering the philosophical implications of hearing his own respiratory system. Peace lasted 3 minutes. Miss Patterson? A small voice in the darkness. Yes, Sophie? I love you. I love you too, sweetheart. Please sleep. Miss Patterson? Yes? My tummy hurts. I am sorry. Do you need to visit the nurse? No, I think I am okay. Pause. Miss Patterson? Yes, Sophie? What are we doing tomorrow? Miss Patterson's response was barely audible. We are having a quiet day. A very, very quiet day. Will there be dinosaurs? Why would there be dinosaurs? I like dinosaurs. I like them too, Sophie. But right now, we are sleeping. I am not tired. Yes, you are. How do you know? Because you yawned 4 times while talking to me. Maybe my mouth was just exercising. Thora's final report entry read simply, I watched a small human argue that yawning was voluntary exercise. The adult human did not even blink. Just accepted this as normal conversation. I cannot do this. I thought I was strong. I survived wars. I negotiated with species that communicate through violence. But I cannot survive toddlers. No one can. The fact that humans do this daily means we have severely underestimated their species. Recommend immediate reclassification to Apex tier. Vrell closed the video. Morn sat motionless, processing. So you see, Vrell said quietly, we made a critical error. We assessed the adults. Calm, reasonable, average adults. But we missed the fact that every single one of those adults survived being a toddler. And more impressively, many choose to spend their days managing other toddlers. By choice. Voluntarily. That is insane. Yes. But it is also remarkable. Morn, think about it. These humans take beings of pure chaos, creatures that defy logic and physics and their own best interests, and they somehow transform them into functional adults. They do it with patience, creativity, and a sense of humor that borders on supernatural. Morn was quiet for a long moment. What are you proposing? Reclassification. Humans are not average. They cannot be. Any species that can survive their own offspring deserves respect. Vrell pulled up the final form. I am upgrading humanity to Apex tier candidates. Not because they are violent. Not because they are technologically superior. But because they possess something we never thought to measure. What is that? The ability to look at a tiny human who just stuck a bean up their nose, flushed a communication device down the waste system, and declared war over a cracker, and respond with, okay, let us talk about choices. That is not average, Morn. That is terrifying patience combined with unshakable determination. Morn clicked his mandibles in agreement. Should we warn the council? Absolutely. And we should probably add a note. What kind of note? Vrell smiled with all 4 eyes. Never, under any circumstances, threaten a human's offspring. Because if they can survive raising toddlers, they can survive anything. And they will protect those tiny chaos agents with every ounce of that terrifying patience. Approved, Morn said. And Vrell? Yes. I am never accepting field work on Earth. Neither am I, Vrell agreed. Neither am I.